Well, hey YouTubers, I'm back. This is my 60 books, and this is a first for me. I was asked to review this. Right. I actually asked by the author to review this book. So, this is a first. I bought it, which, by the way, I'm not going to make a regular thing of because my finances are kind of in the gutter at the moment. With what's going on, I'm kind of saving the pennies like you wouldn't believe and totally flogging everything I own on eBay at the moment. So, anyway. Okay. So, Adega Evolution. Right. By, I actually met the author, on a Orville live stream. Yeah, that's where I past crossed. So yeah, I believe it was taking the Orville by JP, and yeah, so because I'm a fan of the Orville, so is everyone else, and if he found out I'm a book reviewer, so he asked me, or booktuber, so he asked me to buy and review his book, which I did. Um, so bought this off Amazon. I'll put links to it down below if you wish to buy yourself a copy. And yeah, I don't think it's ever had a review before like this one. So let's give it a shot. So, I read the blurb. Okay. Actually, I'm going to read the author blurb first, okay? I love this because, okay. Adega has long been a long-time student of science, religion, philosophy, and humanity. He's currently batting, sorry, he currently battles an incurable long-term form of cancer. Writing is how he's trying to leave his thoughts on life as a legacy for his family, and for those who may be interested in an alternative take on the many aspects of what it means to be human and evolve, or set in a science fiction story. It's just the beginning. First of all, Adega, that's shit what's happened to you. Again, I'm sorry about that. So that's total shit, really. But anyway, let me just do the book review, okay? And I'll talk about that in a second, okay? Right, here we go. For creature of habit, the day started just like any other. Edric completed his morning routine and went to work, and then chaos hit. Now as on the run, a fugitive among his people. As events unfold and truths are uncovered, Edric will learn a lot more than he ever expected. But will he survive the knowledge? Right, okay. So it's more of a novella. It's 120 pages. And this is interesting because it just says Adega. That's just, I mean, if I published a book, and I have actually published, I do it on my actual name, not Adega. What is your actual name? I'm intrigued. I know Adega's name. By Dorrance Publishing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Okay, they've actually been. Right, so Edric lives in what you would call a utopian society. His life is very, very organised, and this is the kind of world Edric lives in. This is page 2. He's on his way to work. Outside was a sea of gardens and perfect symmetry. Those who chose to work as gardeners and horticulturalists made paradise. Engineers designed and built giant orbs, cone cylinders, and a wide variety of other perfect shapes into homes and offices that saluted the sky spread out far from each other to maximise the life of greenery. Nanobuilders assembled and maintained the structures against any form of entropy. Buildings with effective colour, walkways, mobile platforms, and environmental aspects made the eyes sing. Society had recovered just over a millennia ago from chaos to bring about the most fulfilling and perfect communities ever imagined. Everything had a place and everyone had a purpose. Sublime perfection. Edric was convinced he lived in a constructed paradise. Oh, constructed paradise. Yes. Right. Because everything is very kind of dry and regimented, and that's a paradise. But paradise at a cost should become paradise lost. Oh, I'm clever. So, now Edric's at work, okay, and basically, this is where the book kind of turns because you never know for quite a bit if this is true. There are elements of other science fiction novels in this book that makes you kind of question everything. I mean, when this first happened, I imagined it was like Total Recall, okay? So, it's just an example. His brain had a very fine neural pathways growing using his own grey matter to make up organic instruments for his work. It was done shortly after years of training. He decided at an early age that nearly all children what he'd do with his life and how he could contribute to society. It was his way of reaching out to new and different things without having to leave the planet he loved. His job was to look into a holographic representation of the crystal lattice and organic components of computers. Here you go. So that's the thing, he looks into computers. His brain's wired up to the system. Johnny Mnemonic, eat your heart out. You get what I'm saying here. This is very Philip K. Dick. And it's kind of, the artificial ways humanity would eventually evolve into, especially with the invention of AI and how we're going on today. Okay, and basically he gets the wrong thing in his brain. Everyone's on his ass. So then it kind of jumps to he has to kind of take off into space. He has to go on his convoluted adventure, and it's very, 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 very much like it meets up with this ragtag team of kind of underground society. They kind of get the truth out there. Now you get what I'm saying. And then you think Firefly or Star Wars because they're operating under the system of the government, which is known as the CDC. So Adric, who has got no idea what's going on, is on this absolute adventure. But the thing is, the problem is, as a novel, I'm sorry about this, Adega, but you often switch back between narratives. You often switch back between characters, and at times there's too much going on in a novella that's only 120 pages. It's flashing back between, this character, that character, the CIB headquarters, the directive, Edric, a character called Stephen. Okay, there's too much going on at times. So essentially, the CIB, which are basically the big kind of government controlling everything that makes utopian paradise, they have a massive, massive secret, which I'm not going to kind of spoil, but Total Recall. You see, I'm going with the Total Recall references, okay? They've been hiding something, which kind of would have an impact on the future of humanity. So, Edric found out what it is, and then it kind of evolves into becoming a kind of a mutation, if you will, to kind of become a little bit more than what humanity is. So essentially, Edric started off his time as a typical human. However, not a human from our point of view, because it's set like over 1,000 years in the future. However, now he's gone one step above evolution. Here you go. Actually, the book is called Adega Evolution, and it kind of imagine what we will evolve into. However, with this kind of adventure going through space, okay, and a little bit more what's going on, I really, really did enjoy it. It's mad because this is part of a series. It's kind of, well, I think it is. I'm not exactly sure. It's really kind of setting up the world. Adega's got a really good way of not explaining things in too much detail. You kind of know this world if you know your sci-fi or your fantasy, well, if you know your science fiction. It's a very, very familiar world, and the fact that there's such a big ambiguity. For a while, I didn't even know if what was real or what was actually did Edric kind of have a flash, and is this just a fantasy? Like Total Recall, like the ambiguity Total Recall. People who say it's all in his head and people who say who don't. I like both theories. I think personally that it's all in his head in Total Recall. However, I think that's what that actually. But at the same time, I don't want to think that. That's too depressing. Total Recall ends with him being lobotomized. Okay, not becoming the hero of Mars. You get what I'm saying? Okay, and he doesn't know how to build this world in an effective way that I kind of feel familiar. And you kind of get the feel of how big the universe is, especially with a universe where humans are the only ones. I mean, imagine you finally get out there amongst the stars, and you're the only ones. There's no one out. There's no aliens. Which is a question mark. Why not? Anyway, no spoilers. However, I'm sorry to say this, but I do have one issue with one character, and I know you're probably gonna hate me for this. I'm sorry to say, Adega, but now I read this at work during my work break, and I actually read um a bit out to my colleagues. But sorry, let me go on this. Sorry, I'm going to go back to a character I don't particularly like. However, I'm going to talk about this bit here because I just love this. This is how I meant about Adega's ability to word build. I absolutely love this bit here. This is chapter 14, A Mighty Change. So when I say swapping narratives, good example. CIB headquarters. Saturn Moon's Titan had a population of 4 million. It was government specific with everything from hotels to observatories. The hotels were always full of visiting dignitaries, and the observation were warehouses of information from all around the twin galaxies made into a galaxtrium, or galaxtrium, so it's a long word there. These were always in use by various dignitaries, senators, and other government officials. So, there you go. Yeah, that kind of thing. You kind of see Saturn moves Titan, population 4 million. We've explored the solar system, if you will. However, one thing though is this. Now there is a kind of attachment. When I said about ambiguity, about what is real and what is not, there's some kind of attachment going on between the characters, how they live and how they react. And a good example of this is when I was still not convinced that this was real. Is when the book kind of shifts genres, if you will, and becomes like a detective novel, a pop boiler detective novel from the 1940s. I'm giving an example of this, and maybe I find the character a little bit troubling, but I'm gonna flash back a couple of bits, okay? Now, this bit here, this is page 14. This is how fast this book goes into, okay? It's just when Edric's escaping the planet, and he winds up on like this kind of like a science ship, if you will. Don't go into detail, okay? And this bit here is kind of meant to kind of create the ambiguity if it's real or not, okay? Here you go. And I was at work when I read this, and I read this out to my colleague, and we came to the same conclusion, okay? Right. They walked through the last sign doors. This one, Ed, is um with the is it DT? Yeah. Okay. So with DT, I don't want to explain who DT is. If I know for yourself later, spoiler here. This bit here, okay? They walked towards the last garden doors and were met part way by a vision of perfection on two legs, except for the oversized lab coat. She was a vision of perfection. Sorry, so I'm starting the sentence again, okay? I'm getting over a flu, I think. They walked towards the last sliding doors and met part way by vision of perfection on two legs, except for her oversized lab coat. She was what most fathers would fear to have as a child, one was so lovely as to draw the hardest eyes. Though she had perfectly clear skin, vibrant crystal blue-green eyes, fire red hair, and most profound of measurements, she carried herself like a scientist. Long ago, it would seem to you found the heart in the mathematics of industry and left the addition of family behind. Okay, so, right, yeah. And at the time, this scientist, Dr. Clemens or April, now, how she reacts is not how you'd think a scientist would typically react. Hence ambiguity, is this real or not? Okay? The question mark. No, but the thing is, how she acts is not how a scientist acts in the job. Okay? So, this scientist who, okay, did what I just described, I've read it out to her and we both agreed. She sounds like Jessica Rabbit. You just described a character like Jessica Rabbit. Long red hair, curls that go everywhere, wearing a lab coat. It's Jessica Rabbit. Or Heidi Klum, she's dressed up as Jessica Rabbit. There you go. So, in this bit here, there you go. April is flirtatious about her job. April is, this bit here. This is when Edric was going through the science ship, if you will, the science labs. He says this, I'm just a bit overwhelmed by this ship. I think it's most boys' dream to be in something like this. The truth is out. You were a boy. She was hoping to a man to help me, she teased and stuck a finger in his ribs. A ship like this, maybe. You are my fine lady and artist. Why, thank you. It's my second most favourite work that I have done. What? April's a bit... Just grab it. A bit unprofessional. Flirtatious. For someone who's never met before. In a lab coat. That's my only issue. Here you go. Apart from, here you go, sorry, this is a positive review and I did enjoy it. Okay, I really did enjoy this book. I've got one gripe, and it's April. Sorry, I just found that a little bit, but at the time, it was kind of ambiguity, I keep using. I was still convinced at this point, okay, I was just on his head. So, if you want a bit of a mixture of genres, if you will, this is a bit of Firefly, Total Recall, as I mentioned, Joy Mnemonic, give this one a shot. Adega Evolution. Yeah, I enjoyed. And I actually asked him if he bought my book as well, my Twisted Christmas Carol. So I'd like to know, okay, what he thought of that. So check it out. Just check it out. It's a good book. Well done. Well done, Adega. Evolution is a good book. Sign off here. And bye now.